Okay, hi everyone. This is a quick live narration of Shaneghoul versus CanEhDian, I believe. Can is on the Falcons and Shane is on I want to say the Ruiners. He got drafted on their mid-season, I believe. While CanEhDian has been on the Falcons throughout the whole season, and they're playing for NU Week 7 of Smogon Premier League. And right now the Ruiners are in a playoff mix, while the Falcons are sort of out of it because they've been unfortunate luck-wise. So let's see how this game goes. For Shane, it looks like a more offensive build with Rotom, Samurott, Steelix is the rock setter, Garbodor probably a spike setter, and defensive pivot as well. Kangaskhan, Shift Read last two, they've got some nice priority. And for CanEhDian, as they send out the lead, it's more of a balanced team with Sceptile, Steelix, Lantern, Musharna, Primeape, and the Skuntank. It's going to be spikes for Shaneghoul, and then CanEhDian's going to reveal an Instinct Steelix set with Earth Power, Special, probably Life Orb, Obscure Force. That's going to take out the Garbodor in one hit, and now we're gonna see a Samurott from Shaneghoul. And now this isn't Sturdy Steelix, so if it's a special Samurott, then it's gonna be able to Ultra this. So it's probably gonna be threatened out into Lantern, maybe Musharna or Sceptile, but Lantern seems like the most likely. And if this is Swords Dance, they could set up an SD and +2 Mega Horn could damage a defensive Lantern, it could 2 KO it, and then tank any hit. But if it specs Lantern, then it's gonna be a bit of an issue. But then again, that takes more from +2 Mega Horn, so we'll see what goes on here. I think that the play is gonna be going for Hydro Pump if it's a special one, or doubling out the Shift Reef special one. And if it's physical, then probably setting up an SD. And let's see what he does here. He's going to go for Mega Horn straight off. Oh, that does a lot. So that's Life Orb, physical. And I think that might be offensive, or it's probably Specs AV, or maybe a random Chesto Resto Lantern here. So that's a lot of damage. It looks like it's going to 2-KO here from Mega Horn. So I don't think he needed Lantern much in the long run, because he does have alternative means of checking Rotom with the Skuntank and the Steelix, and maybe even the Sceptile, so that's not too big a deal. But Lantern's not going to be able to damage or even put the Samurott in check. It's just going to stop this one turn. Oh, it's going to reveal Sucker Punch. That's interesting from CanEhDian. So yeah, it's going to be 5-5. A layer of spikes is going to be up on CanEhDian side. 20% damage, 40% damage is going to be done to the Samurott on Shaneghoul side. And CanEhDian's going to get momentum. I assume he's going to go into Sceptile here, but maybe he goes into Primeape, although I think that Aqua Jet's going to do a fair amount to Primeape, being out as neutral, so I'm likely to... Okay, he's going to go to Primeape here. It's probably going to be Scarf. Now it's going to be a bit of a 50-50 between U-turning into the Rotom or close combating to kill the Samurott here. I'd gather that he's going to U-turn, because Rotom is a very likely play, since he doesn't need to get rid of the Samurott, and the Samurott really threatens the entire team of CanEhDians, especially since it's Life Orb. Mega Horn 2 kills Musharna, and Waterfall does damage to the rest, and obviously Mega Horn kills the Sceptile and the Switchin, so yeah, but Sceptile can revenge kill easily, so I think CanEhDian's going to U-turn, and Shaneghoul's going to go to Rotom, but let's see here. I think it's a pretty neutral position at this point, but given the amount of priority and speed on Shaneghoul's side in comparison to CanEhDian's side, I think that Shaneghoul has a slight advantage, as long as he could keep the Shift Free and Rotom alive to check the potential Musharna and even this Primeape here. And that's going to be a close combat into the Steelix. Okay, I'm wrong on both fronts, but that's definitely going to be a good play on CanEhDian's part. But now it's going to be forced to probably switch out, picking the Rotom. But the question is, if Shaneghoul stays in here and predicts that, and he does not, he goes in the Rotom, and CanEhDian's going to outplay him here, getting his Skuntank in, which could potentially trap this. Oh, it's going to be a Will-O-Wisp Rotom, so that's good, but it's Lumberry's Skuntank. Go for the Pursuit, and now this thing is likely going to be trapped. He's going to miss it, and yeah, so that's great for CanEhDian. He made a good play, and he got rewarded by the miss there, although that's unfortunate for Shaneghoul. But he's going to put him in a significant advantage. Now he doesn't have Rotom to check the Steelix, to check the Primeape, and maybe even to potentially soft check the Musharna. So let's see how that goes. I think that CanEhDian still has to work his way around the Samurott and the Kangaskhan, because Kangaskhan would be annoying, but Musharna is still alive to check that, so he's really got to preserve your Musharna to check the physical threats, and he'll be in a good position here. Right now, I think that if CanEhDian just plays straightforward, he's going to have a good chance, but really it depends on his stats. Like, if this is like Fire Blast Skuntank here, then it could really just open up a big advantage for him, but if this, it's going to live. Okay, well, Earthquake. Okay, that's going to be a trade-off. He didn't really need rocks. That's good. It's going to be a 4-4 situation here, but CanEhDian still has a significant advantage, because now he can just go to anything to pretty much revenge kill. Despite Musharna, because Musharna's probably going to be slower. I think that he'll go out to Primeape or Sceptile, and Sceptile's a play there. That's a fine play. I guess he'll just Giga Drain or Leaf Blade, depending on his set. I don't know if he's Swords Dance or special, but we'll find out this turn in all likelihood. He could Swords Dance if he's special, then, because Swords Dance... Well, I wouldn't advise Swords Dance, because he's got a lot of... Shaneghoul's got a lot of priority left alive, so... That would be sort of pointless to take all damage, because Heavy Slam is probably going to be in play from Shaneghoul here. So let's see what he does. I think that the grass move is just going to be to play here, while the foddering of Steelix is because it's pretty useless. It can only take like a U-turn from Primate at this point. Is going to be the play. So that's what I see happening. But let's see what the players have in mind. It's a pretty quick game so far. We've got 8 turns and we've already got 2 mons down on both sides. So it's playing out a bit more offensive. Although Shane did have an offensive spike stacking team, the Canadian team, as I said before, is more balanced. It had a balanced core of Lantern plus Musharna, and arguably even Skuntank and Steelix, depending on the sets. Although it was offensive, Sheer Force Special Steelix, and it seemed to be more offensive Lum Skuntank. So really, it had just a more defined defensive core with Musharna, and it had offense in terms of Deceptile and Primate. So really, just a balanced overall team, while Shane's team was clearly more offensive. But so far, Canadian's getting the better of him. Shaneghoul is taking some time. Now, Leaf Blade's going to be play here. It's definitely a Swords Dance Deceptile variant. So that means that he might have a bit of Vulcan vested to tank the priority, or at least he'll have the ability to damage a shift through with something like Acrobatics. But Kangaskhan's going to be play here, and that's smart, so he could definitely live any move, because there's no like Life Orb Focus Blast in the physical variant, and it can be able to threaten everything. So I'd imagine that the fairly healthy Steelix that's at full Buzzard Spikes, or the full Musharna is going to come in a pivot here. The question here is if there's going to be a double switch to the Samurott or not. I know he's just going to go for a turn, that's going to just bounce off it, but after the spike down, it's going to leave him at 60%, so maybe he'll recover. Now, there's no leftovers on it, and it was definitely defensive Musharna given the return damage. Sorry, I started up for a second there, but it's definitely Colbert, so that's going to be able to soft check shift free, especially if it has Signal Beam or Baton Pass to pivot out to something like Primate. So that is nice. I think there's going to be a switch here into the into the shift tree or the Samurai. He went to shift tree. He probably knows it's Colbert, so maybe he's banking on it not being Signal Beam because he's in a disadvantageous position right now. He's going to knock off the Colbert Bear. He's going to get a crit. It's going to do a bit over 40. Then Signal Beam is going to come in and it's going to outcode this. So it looks very bleak for Shaneghoul now. It looks like it's pretty much over. So it looks like Canadian's going to be able to come out on top here. Hydro Pump's going to be played. It's going to take it out. I think that was a roll, depending on the Musharna EVs. But I think on 252-16 or 240-16 special defense, Musharna, that's a bit of a roll. Maybe it was modest, in which case it wasn't. I'm not quite too sure. But now it looks like this is pretty hard for Shaneghoul to combat the Sceptile plus Primate and also Steelix in the back, as Steelix can soft check this Kangaskhan and be fodder to the Samurott in the long haul, while nothing can take its Earth Power. So it looks like Canadian's going to be able to wrap this up, barring a choke or some magical sets in play from Shaneghoul. But let's see how this finishes before we get into it anymore. It's going to be Steelix here. Yep, it doesn't really need the Steelix. And not going to be a prediction there. It's going to be straight off return from the Kangaskhan. So that's pretty much straightforward how it's going to go. And now Earth Power is definitely going to be to play from Canadian, but Earthquake is going to be to play beforehand. So they're both going to do about a third. Steelix is going to do 3 more percent, doing 36. And then Canadian's going to live the second Earthquake. There's no critical hit or anything. And Dex said the Kangaskhan's going to get taken up by the next Earth Power. And now the special Samurott's going to be the last Pokemon alive, and it's going to be revenge killed easily by either of the remaining 2 Pokemon. And it looks like Sceptile's going to be the option. It's going to Leaf Blade for the win. So Canadian's going to win this game comfortably with a 2-0. He played better than his opponent, I believe, especially with the Skuntank play, which really gave him some separation from his opponent in an early lead. So therefore, I believe he deserves to win this game. And that was fairly well played on both ends. But I think Canadian certainly had the better advantage. And Shaneghoul just didn't really make any key predictions to get himself back into the game or even to get an advantage for himself in the first place. So Canadian's going to come up victorious, and that's good for Falcons. I'm not quite sure of the series score, but that was a good game, well played on both ends. And I like the balanced team that Canadian brought. It was really able to combat the offensive cores and offensive Pokemon and pressure that opponents brought with Musharna plus Steelix plus Skuntank and even Lantern, while also doing damage on the offensive with Sceptile, Primate, Steelix, and maybe even a Combine Musharna, which wasn't revealed. So overall, well played, well built, well prepared by Canadian, aka Evan, and this was a good match, and hopefully I'll bring you guys more in the future. So peace, this is Fish.